One of the most well-known entities within Roblox doors is Seek, a monstrous being made up of a thick black goop. However, something which I don't think a lot of people have grasped is just how terrifying this sludge is. It is essentially an incurable sentient disease, which can leave its victims in excruciating agony for as long as they live after being exposed. And today we'll be diving into the step-by-step process of how this infection progresses throughout the body of living things. I don't want to keep you waiting any longer, so with all of that being said, let's begin. Alright, so before we go into the process of how the infection spreads throughout a living thing's body, we must first analyze what it exactly is. Seek itself isn't just the humanoid we are all familiar with, but instead a giant mass of black goop and eyes that acts as a hive mind, all essentially being part of one singular being. This goop has the unique characteristic of assimilating anything it touches, to become more of it, essentially meaning nothing can stop it as whatever touches it just turns into more black sludge. For example, in the mines we can see Seek's slime come into contact with a small pool of water, and within seconds the entire pool of water gets converted into more slime. This unfortunately means that the infected individuals will eventually die. However, the rates at which they die varies drastically. For example, when the player gets infected by Seek, they will instantly die, with their entire body being converted as soon as they come into contact with the goop. However, with something such as a Screech, which is an infected giggle, they're shown to be able to live for quite some time after being exposed, albeit their life isn't that glamorous. Now, this video will primarily focus on the latter of those two situations, where an infected being isn't killed instantly, but rather the conversion process is slow. We'll be looking at the step-by-step process of what it is like to be infected this way by looking at how Seek's sludge affects other creatures in the game. Let's first start with the immediate contact of the sludge. At the end of floor 2, we can see the Queen Grumble be infected by Seek, so we know firsthand what the immediate effects are. After the Grumble is merely touched by some of the sludge, it rapidly expands across the top of their head, converting all that flesh into more goop. Given how this is the equivalent of getting the top of your head chopped off, immense pain is inflicted onto the Grumble, causing them to scream loudly. This pain won't go away, but it rather sticks with the infected individual for as long as they live. A prime example of this would be the Screeches. These entities are Seek-infected giggles, and giggles are known for involuntary laughing all the time. However, Screeches don't laugh at all, but instead scream, meaning after initial contact they are still in immense agony. After initial contact, the infection will actually stop spreading. However, don't be fooled by this, as this is not a blessing. You see, as I had stated, Seek, in their slime by extension, is sentient, meaning they won't be all assimilating if it doesn't benefit them. After all, if an individual was fully turned into black goop, it would just be added to the overall mass. Instead, some beings, such as Screeches, are only partially infected, and this allows for Seek to essentially control them like puppets. You see, around the nest, which is where the Grumbles live, you can find several piles of mutilated Screeches. One of the most likely theories which explain the presence of these Screech piles is that Grumbles kill and mutilate their infected young to prevent Seek's control from spreading to other members. This means that after a being is infected by Seek, they lose all physical control over their body, simply becoming a host for the parasite with the sole purpose of spreading the slime as much as possible. So after first contact with Seek's slime is loss of all physical control, as it has essentially been given to Seek. Additionally, something else which should be noted is that the infection will disfigure any exposed being's body parts which aren't converted to slime. This can be seen by how a Screech's eyes are actually farther apart than a Giggle's, as well as how their lips are non-existent and how their skin and gums are paler than usual. So, in addition to being made into a mindless puppet, the non-converted body parts of an infected individual will distort, which may also add to the pain the creatures may experience. That isn't the end of the process, though, as after becoming a mindless puppet for Seek to spread its influence, there's one more stage of infection left. As I had stated before, upon initial contact with the slime, parts of the infected being's body will be converted into that slime. Naturally, this leads to a lack of vital organs, muscles, and tissues. So eventually, as described at the beginning of this video, all roads after being infected lead to death. So eventually, once the infected being's body is worn out, it will just die. And and seeing how Seek can't really use a dead body and will entirely be consumed by the sludge. This can be seen with the dead Screech piles in the nest, as seeing how it's possible that Grumbles killed the individual Screeches, the dead bodies were consumed entirely by goop. Furthermore, seeing how the slime is, well, slime, it can be mixed without rhyme or reason, and this results in those dead Screeches essentially being fused into one mass. So at the end of it all, infected individuals are condemned to forever being trapped in the goop that killed them. So, to summarize, after initially coming into contact with Seek's slime, the infected area as well as its surroundings will be converted into more goop, resulting in immense pain. With this pain still present, the goop will then take control of the infected individual's entire body, making them act as a puppet to spread the infection. At the same time, their unconverted body parts will contort and disfigure, which may further increase the pain which is inflicted. Finally, after the individual dies due to being worn out, the goop will consume whatever is left of the being's original body, turning it completely into slime. It truly is a terrifying and unfortunate fate, and it brings to light just how horrifying Seek is, especially when other beings are exposed to them. Anyways, that was essentially the entire video. Let me know in the comments what you thought, and with all of that being said, thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.